What is up? We are live with the Isaiah Thomas episode 58 of the Bark and Brown Show. I'm your host, Jacob at Roachism13 on Twitter, joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Ed in Columbus, and Mr. Nick Carnes at Carnesies817 on Twitter. Fellas, how are we doing tonight?
Hi. Wow, 58. I don't know where it went. Well, I mean, I figure we glossed over it last week that it was the Clay Matthews episode, but I was thinking about that, and I mean, hey, we're gonna be knocking down the door of triple digits sooner than later.
Yeah, about this time next year.
Huge numbers, guys, huge numbers, and hey, every week, pat on the back to ourselves, put out a good product. We love our fans. We love what they have to do for us and what we do for them, and we're gonna continue this thing as long as we can.
As long as we can keep going, guys. So we got a great show for you tonight. We got two wonderful guests. They have told me some of their plans and some of their not plans for the episode. So I don't know what the hell is going to happen tonight. So, like, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna talk a little bit Browns, so everybody that is on the Twitch, we appreciate everybody, all the follows, the subscriptions. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to the channel for free. And if you subscribe to the channel for free last month, it does not auto renew, but you can go in and still do a free subscription every month to the Twitch with Amazon Prime. So we really greatly appreciate everybody that has taken the time to subscribe or cheer or to support us in any of the ways that you do. I say it every week. I'll say it again. One of the most valuable things you can give anybody is their time. So we appreciate it. And thank you once again for giving some of yours to us. All right, guys, we have a great show. At the end of the show, we are going to do Jerome Ford's scouting report. I did a Patreon video for that, so the patrons at the Patreon can go over there and check that out. So if you're interested in some more in-depth of each of those and some bonus content, Patreon $5 a month, patreon.com/barkingbrowns. You'll be able to see it there and go from there. All right, guys, so we did a show on Saturday with Eddie. Good old Eddie Mack from Dog Pound Daily. And we talked about the Njoku extension as well as the 5 players that each of us thought had the most pressure on them in training camp. You can see that here on the Twitch, or you can go to our YouTube channel and even the audio wherever you find our podcast if you haven't checked that out. Me and Ed were on that show. We got our opportunity to talk about David Njoku. Nick did not. So, Nick, the floor is yours. Let's talk your thoughts on the David Njoku extension.
I appreciate that because – you know, I've been campaigning for a long time to keep David Njoku, and I was really glad that he did get extended because you know what, it's really hard to find guys that are athletically as gifted as David is, and I think some of the pushback from that is just that on his raw numbers he hasn't produced. Right. And I can definitely understand that. I think as a player, he really started to turn the corner in year 3, but that's when the Browns brought in Austin Hooper and he got buried as a part of a 3-man rotation. So I don't think he's been able to showcase what he can do yet. And so I am really excited about that. But I do want to point out that the one interesting part of the Njoku re-signing is that I think he's one of the first big free agent deals from Andrew Berry. And however you want to define, maybe like 10 plus million a year, say that his numbers aren't already established. You know what I'm saying? Typically Andrew Berry pays for guys that have already done it, already shown that type of production that, you know, but Njoku is probably the first signing, I think, where he's really the first big one where he's really betting on what he will be rather than what he has already shown to be. So there's definitely some risk there, but I think it's going to pay off and I'm excited to see what he can do. But it's definitely interesting to note that there's a key difference in my opinion, between the Njoku signing and all the other big free agents.
Any of the other ones. Yeah. I wanted to point out one thing that we did not talk about on Saturday, Ed, and I wonder if this changes your opinion that you gave us on Saturday, because it kind of changed mine a little bit, and that was the structure of the contract. It is essentially a 2-year deal with 2 option years. I mean, Jack Duffin breaks it down the best. If you follow the OBR, go check out Jack. He is their cap guy, and he is the best, in my opinion, especially come Browns when you're talking about cap. He'll tell you, by the way, that the Browns currently are number 1 in cap space, and that is with that $9.5 million they just got from the Hooper money finally freed up. So they're over $40 million under the cap. for people that are freaking out about cap numbers. That David Njoku deal lowered his cap. It's like any other of the deals, but essentially it's a 2-year deal, very similar to Austin Hooper's deal, where they can just then get out of it and get out of it pretty good after that. It makes it even more enticing because you've got 2 years. If he doesn't produce, you're moving on relatively quickly before any of the other deals kick in. Ed, does that, I think it makes it even better in my opinion. Does that change your opinion at all about the extension? Oh.
I just fell over like Austin Hooper. That was in tribute of Austin Hooper. Let me tell you about David Njoku and what Andrew Berry did. He's a master. He's a genius when it comes to the salary cap. I like what he did with Watson's contract. If you're going to fully guarantee it, the things he did with that. And you know what, Nick, to your point, to piggyback off that, you know what I like about it? Usually in Cleveland, we overpay. And some people are like, you overpay for David Njoku. I don't have a problem overpaying. It's not my money. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Usually we overpay for a prize veteran that's been in the league like Paul Kruger or Willie McGinnis, and guess what? They do nothing. So we got forward thinkers in Berea that trust their scouting reports. Look, they took him in the first round. They traded up in the first round. Yeah. Why? Because of his athleticism and his spark score and all that crazy stuff. All that, witchcraft is what the other GMs are saying. So we got forward thinkers, and well, why wouldn't you reward that forward thinking? That work you put into somebody, especially a specimen of David Njoku. Like, he takes his shirt off, and you know what? Ed in Columbus loves him, but you know what, David Njoku, that's a fine specimen for all the ladies and the guys that watch in Cleveland, Ohio. And it's gonna be even better when he gets a ring on too. That's gonna be awesome stuff. So my answer did change, Jacob, because like you said, that structure, but I was always excited about it. I think the only thing that really changed was the level of excitement. I'm ready, even more excited about the signing or the re-signing. So Nick, thank you for that. And let's go Cleveland. Well, it's about time we get good players in their prime. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Like I said the other day, 2 Eds are better than 1. So check out our show because Eddie was awesome. And also too, the point is that we got a guy that I just lost my train of thought, and I'm not even trying to.
I got it
because I'm so excited.
I got you.
Because I'm so excited.
I just want to add to that when Njoku decides to extend in Cleveland, that adds him to the list of Deshaun Watson and Jadeveon Clowney, and now David Njoku, who have all picked Cleveland, right? Which is certainly an encouraging trend, right? And I think in the range of his outcomes, David Njoku can be your number 2 receiving option. I very much think that. And I know people are like, well, he hasn't done it yet. Well, when he finally really started to turn the corner as a player, right, he got buried in a rotation. And I don't think they're not going to play Hooper because they are paying him, right? So I just think that if Njoku does become that guy, right, where he's your second or third, I'm hoping for second. He's worth that money. He is.
I think he's your second. He's the second most talented pass catcher on the team.
I'm old and I remembered, Nick, because you said the word money. Now, think about this too. With all the tight ends they're going to have to, re-up in the next couple of years in the NFL, this contract's going to look better as more and more tight ends have to sign with other teams. So I don't know. When's the salary cap going to explode? I think it's a great deal for both sides.
It's supposed to explode soon. No, I do not have a half sleeve. You're probably referring to that one, which is close to a half sleeve as it gets. I have 8 tattoos, but it will be a half sleeve eventually because I have one above it and one on my forearm. You
don't have Brown Super Bowl champions 2022?
No, not yet.
No. Okay. That one's coming in a couple weeks, guys. Don't worry about it.
2022. I didn't get that joke.
I'd just like to make that pledge that I don't have any tattoos, but I resolved personally that if the Browns ever do win a Super Bowl, that will be my one tattoo.
I'm dainty and I'm afraid of needles.
And I'll beat you. I'll get to tattoo whatever I want on your thigh. Anyway, we'll move over here. This was a good point real quick. Josh the Catholic, Watson led the offense on a work bonding trip, and now the defensive king, number 95, is taking his squad to Miami, he said, taking his talents to the South Beach.
Going to Miami. Will Smith partying.
All right. Oh, yeah. All right, guys. I've got to get something off my chest. I have to get this off my chest, and I'm moving on, and we're moving past it, and I don't want to have to deal with it anymore for at least 2 days. That's it. Let's give me 2 days free.
The 48-hour rule is going into effect.
Stop cutting or advocate for cutting second-year players that were developmental players from the start. Why the hell is everybody mad that Anthony Schwartz needs time to play, learn how to play wide receiver, when that was the exact scouting report and the exact thing we said after he was drafted? Quit it. Quit telling me he can't catch when he had one drop last year. Oh my God, terrible hands. Yeah, well, maybe throw an accurate pass, okay? Cool. I'm not saying he's a great pass catcher. He does need work in that area. But I was told that he has stone hands by quite a few people when, statistically speaking, he had a singular drop. And everybody said, well, he only had 23 targets. Great. If he drops every one out of every 23 targets, I can live with that. He's not going to be a 100-plus target player. Oh, my God, Austin Hooper dropped 10% of his targets last year. I don't care. Stop. He needed to develop when he was drafted. Why would Andrew Berry change his mind about a developmental player? He knew it. So why would he all of a sudden be like, oh, my God, I got to get Anthony Schwartz out of here because guess what? The developmental rookie was a developmental rookie. Who would have thunk it? Quit.
It sucks, too, because, it's like he got hurt, right, and missed significant time. When you've got a developmental guy to begin with, it's like they need to be out on the field. And if I'm not mistaken, he got hurt in camp, too.
Yeah, he missed a lot of time in camp. Then he had and then he had the concussion. I'm not saying he doesn't need to make massive improvements. He does.
Sure.
But we always knew that.
Yeah.
So you don't cut him when he is what you thought he was. He gets this year. If this year is exactly like last year and there are no improvements, I will lead the charge next offseason to cut him. Yeah. But Andrew Berry still, to this point, has not cut a draft pick. He's not going to cut a third-round player that had – the one reason you drafted him that early when he was a developmental receiver, because in terms of his development, him and Donovan Peoples-Jones were about the same. But what's the difference between a sixth-round pick and a third-round pick, 4.25 speed, 2.7 speed? That is the difference. You drafted him because he can do what other players can't, and he can just straight up burn. All he needs to do this year is be able to stretch the field vertically. And let's say they complete 40% on his deep passes. You have got to respect that. That's going to open it up for David Njoku, Amari Cooper, DPJ. It's going to pull safeties over, and then DPJ can burn the corners like he likes to do with his deceptive speed, right? He unlocks the next level for me if he can make massive strides. I will admit he needs to make very big strides. But stop trying to cut him. Now, if he goes out and he has an awful year, okay, we can have that conversation, but we knew it was going to take some time. So let's give it some time.
It's probably important to note when the Browns draft Anthony Schwartz, they say, okay, we've got Odell Beckham, we've got Jarvis Landry, we've got Donovan Peoples-Jones in his second year. It's not like they draft the guy with a big impact expectation that year, right? And so then because of the events of the season, obviously he gets pushed up the depth chart, but nobody was saying that he was ready for that when they drafted him, right?
And then he made a massive catch week one, and then everybody wanted to throw the developmental moniker out the window. And I'm not saying he's going to be a great receiver. He might not. I'm not saying that. I'm saying give him time to prove it.
That was a great rant, Jacob. That was a great rant. You know why it was so great? Because I've never even slandered Mr. Schwartz, and yet I felt like you were talking to me. I felt guilty of something.
There's a lot of sentiment out there.
One of our guests said he might come at me for that rant, and I've been watching him in the green room while I was doing it just to see. And I can tell you vehemently, I don't know if he's still going to come after me or if he agrees with me. We'll find out in like 20 minutes. But we'll find out. I have no idea. He's smirking now, so we'll see. We'll find out. We'll find out here in a little bit. But let's get to our first guest and see what he has to talk about. He was the recent winner of the network's giveaway of the Amari Cooper jersey, and we welcome in Mr. Mitch. Mitch, how you doing, buddy?
How's it going, everybody?
Good, how are you?
Going up them M's for Mitch. What's up, Mitch?
Doing pretty good. Hey, I just feel like I have to get something off my chest here. I know the whole, wide receiver room, getting kind of packed, and some of you guys may notice that, my apparel today is a little bit out of sorts with the Odell Beckham shirt on. I didn't know what to do, but I think I know what I want to do right now.
Okay.
You guys know what I want to do?
What's that?
Not really.
I want to do this.
Wow.
This right here, Amari Cooper is going to run the field. That's how we're going to do it.
That's an
like it.
entrance there, Mitch. Wow.
That's an
Mitch, can you turn around? Because that might be a Johnny Manziel jersey.
It's not a Johnny Manziel jersey. It's a Cooper jersey.
Okay, but I mean, I'm just.
You're gonna have to trust him. Why would you say that?
The desk chair is currently up against the wall, so
He's like,
Okay.
he's like, I'm
Well,
sorry.
I've
I
seen
can't.
number 2, and I've been.
Seems like a pretty
hard for
reputable
life.
fellow.
I trust him. Hey Mitch, I got a question for you right here off the top. All right.
yeah.
For this year, I think this draft was very, very unique for the Browns. I think it was because you didn't draft until pick 68, and then you had a plethora of like what I thought were really good value picks. So for you, what was your favorite draft pick? And it doesn't have to be who you think the best player is, but who was your favorite draft pick?
That's a tough one. We picked a lot of good people, great people, not just good. But I think I'd have to go with Cade York.
Yeah.
I think, many of our games came down to, whether our kicker could or could not make the final, the final field goal of the game.
Yeah.
We lost a couple games there by 3 points or so, that we may be in a better position if we add Cade York and get him in there with his consistency.
Did you see the report about Mike Prefer crying tears of joy when they drafted Cade York?
I already saw that he's been in cahoots with the team and has been wanting to know how the kicks respond and that kind of thing on the field already.
He's kicked in the stadium 3 times, they said today.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Today, Prefer was saying that he's been down to the stadium. I don't know if there was any wind or anything on the days that he was down there, but I think Prefer also said they'll be down there tomorrow.
Cool.
It definitely feels like they're setting him up to be like the next franchise cornerstone, like a dude that is going to be reliable. And here, I really hope that comes to fruition, because it has just been one after another since Phil Dawson. And that's like, it's reaching quarterback search levels at this point.
Yeah.
You got to score points. When I was growing up, you had Matt Barr, and then we got so lucky with Phil Dawson. It seems like these dynasties or these franchises that do well. If you look at Adam Vinatieri with the Patriots, I mean, it's not just the quarterback and Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger. It's also getting that field goal kicker, because to Mitch's point, these games are decided by 3 points. Or you got to have a reliable guy. And if Cade York's the guy for the next 10 to 15 years, I think that's the thing that puts elite teams like I think the Browns are going to be in with Kansas City, with Buffalo. That puts you over there. Look at Cincinnati last year, how they rode Evan McPherson. Let's do that. If he's half as good as Evan was, almost, like, wow, what a treat we're gonna have.
It feels a lot like for the modern NFL and the way the direction the NFL is going, that the team that wins is just the one with the ball last, right? And so sometimes you're like, I know there's a lot of argument out there that Kevin Stefanski's not going to want to kick field goals because analytically, so the math adds up to him going for it, and I don't want to get too deep into that, but I do want to say there's going to be moments where the clock is expiring and you do not have time to go all the way down the field. You're going to need a kicker that's going to be able to make that field goal, even if you do or do not believe that the Browns should be going for it more on 4th down.
Yeah, and I might need to bite my tongue, but I kind of liked Chase McLaughlin. He made all of his. I think he went perfect for all of his kicks, past 50 yards for his long ones. But, right there in the area between 40 and 49 yards, he was like 3 for 10 or something like that. And, that's kind of where we.
It was crazy because he made his first 9 kicks or whatever. And it was oh my God, finally we're in heaven. And then he couldn't make the most common kicks. I think I don't know.
Those are the money kicks. You got it between
the
40 and
49
49 yards. That's what you make. I would rather have a kicker go 90% from 40 to 49 and maybe be half as good from like 52 on. I mean, because let's be real. Tell the offense with Deshaun Watson, I need that extra 5 yards. I don't think it's going to be a problem with this offense.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
I wanted to bring up a point I was looking in today about the recovery of Hubbard and Conklin.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that it seems like they're ahead on the recovery. But I guess what I'm wondering is I saw Conklin's injury is probably one of the hardest to recover from fully. You know, besides a bone injury. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Conklin's is really, really funny. Not funny, but it's really like interesting because everything that I saw was like such a wide range when I was first looking at it. But the most common ranges I saw was 6 to 12, which is that's crazy, like 6 to 12 months. And I'm like, that's crazy because you're looking at, was it October or November was when he went down? It was the first Ravens game was when he went down with the patella. And they say that especially guys of his size, that is one that they don't always come back 100%. And I think Conklin is he north of 30 now, or he's right around 30. He's been in the league for
I think so.
now. So you're already looking at some of those, recovery things being harder, even the more common injuries, just, with them starting to add up on him.
He's 27.
He's 27. Okay, there you go.
It's interesting, too, because when he signed, he purposely said he took a shorter deal because he knew the NFL cap space was going to go way up. So he was trying to cash in again after this year. And now because, he did take a 3-year deal, there's a huge amount of pressure on him to perform this year so they can get that next contract.
I wonder if that affects the potential to where if he plays, could he get an extension in season?
Ooh.
This might actually help the
That
Browns.
would be neat.
You got a guy coming back from an injury, and maybe if he plays 80% or whatever, or 90% of what he was, that really helps the Browns, knowing that maybe he actually gets better as more time that he plays. But this, like I said, this could be a Colin Sexton thing with the Cavs. Jack Conklin with the Browns could be a benefit to us moving forward, and maybe signing him to another 2 to 3 year deal at a discounted rate because of the injury. So I don't know. Not everything is a cursed thing. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise, because I do think he's going to come back and be a contributor in 2022. I mean, will he be 100%? Probably not, but it's still better than what they would trot out there anyways, I think. So.
And I really hope, from everything I can tell, it was a tricep injury for Chris Hubbard. So it sounds like he should be fine.
Yeah.
Come week 1, especially if Conklin's not. You kind of hope. I think I really liked the strides that James Hudson made, but I'd feel a lot better starting the season with Hubbard at right tackle than I would Hudson. Just especially if you're looking at an extension or a suspension with Deshaun Watson, because you're going to need, not that Jacoby Brissett's a statue or anything like that, but just a little bit better. You want the better line out there early on if you're playing with your backup quarterback for any period of time.
Jacob, does that mean is Conklin like a more likely to not start the year then? Is that what that means?
I have not seen enough of a timetable. I know that unless he was asked today and I missed it, the last time Stefanski talked about it was just to tell us that he was on schedule. I know he's at OTAs. I've seen him at OTAs. You can't really read into who's quote unquote practicing and who's not when it comes to OTAs, especially because they're voluntary as they stand right now. But, I've heard he's on schedule, but like they're tight. That's one of those things that the organization is just so tight-lipped when it comes to players' health. I think he starts week 1 because I just don't have anything that tells me otherwise. But if you were to have somebody tell me, come from the future and be like, hey, he doesn't start till week 5, I think probably. It's so such a hard injury to
that future guy's going to come back, Jacob, and talk about that OBJ revenge tour too. But never mind him. Okay, just let that.
I was
alone.
right. Okay, I was wrong about the team, but I was right.
You're going to die on that hill, Jacob. You're going to die on that hill.
Hey, he said we were going to be special. The Browns are going to be special this year. He was talking to Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and I love that from him. You know, it's like that I found like Sorry, I don't know why I'm fumbling over my words. There was such an insightful interview with Newsome and JOK, like just talking about what a good teammate Odell is, and just like how they also liked Baker Mayfield, you know, and how just the dynamic. Because I think that's honestly like I don't know if everyone's seen the video or not. I can't remember who to credit to give it, but that's probably the deepest look I think we've had into the Browns locker room from last year to this point, and so I would highly recommend watching it.
The thing is, I hope that that I know it's not that it's like this super big deal, but I don't know. Like if the reporters are able to go back into the locker room, we can potentially get a little bit better of a feel. Because I heard Mary Kay talking about it the other day on her podcast, and she was just like, we don't know. Like, we just don't know what really went on. So, Mitch, before we get you off here, man, you got any final thoughts or any final statements you want to make?
Well, I wanted to say I'm kind of excited about the tight end room, the Njoku extension. I'm kind of anxious to see where Harrison Bryant, you know, how he performs this year with Hooper. You know, he got like 25% of the amount of action that Hooper did, you know, in terms of getting the ball. Kind of anxious to see how he does falling into a more key role with Hooper leaving.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to that.
Me too. I like Brian. I think Brian could be to your point, Mitch. I think Brian could be a very good. Even if he was our starter this year, I think I would still feel pretty happy with him being in that role.
And he's over, but he doesn't fall over.
What?
Yeah. And I was looking through a video came up on my phone earlier today about you know how clutch Harrison Bryant was in those, you know, times we really, really needed a touchdown and none of our receivers were open. He was, you know, the 10-yard button hook standing on the end zone line, and he was able to come down with the ball most of the time. So
that high ankle sprain for him, underrated, helped to derail that season. Like it had a bigger impact. Obviously, bottom 5 quarterback play had a lot of impact, but it didn't help. Mitch, we really appreciate you taking some time to join us tonight.
Yes, thank you.
We will have you on.
Thank you, Ed.
Yes, thank you.
Jake.
Hey, Mitch, if you want to tell people where they can find you, friend, go on ahead.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter. You guys can go follow me at Mitch Metz. Then, you know, maybe there may be a funny TikTok that I made out there a couple years ago that seems to resurface every once in a while, but I'll leave you guys to go on a scavenger hunt for that one.
Well, now I've got to go on the scavenger hunt to find it. All right, Mitch, we appreciate you joining, man. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Thanks, Mitch.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.
All right, man. We really
Jacob, we
appreciate
got to give a shout out to Varsity House Podcast. That's who you're referring to when it comes to the JOK and Newsome. So Varsity House Podcast, shout out for what you did there. I haven't watched it yet, so I need to.
Thanks,
Ed. So now we're just gonna bring on. I don't know if there's words. To describe
he's got words though. He's
got words. I think he's got some words for me. He's ready. So we're just gonna bring him on. The bad himself, Mr. Cozzi. Cozzi, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Hey, Ed, what's going on?
I love it.
Looking good, Ed.
You're looking spiffy tonight. What's going on?
Thank you. Not too much. So, Jacob, I wanted to kind of elaborate on your whole Anthony Schwartz talk. I absolutely agree. I think he has a breakout season. I think he has a major breakout season. I actually kind of have a bet with other people who listen to Browns After Dark that he's going to have over 500 yards receiving this year. So
okay.
That's a good bet.
I'm kind of hoping with that it goes pretty well. Let's put it that way. Because I'm a little like, okay, maybe he will, maybe he won't. Maybe he could like get a few like 70-yard touchdown bombs, something like that. That would be great. So I do agree with that. So I think Anthony Schwartz has a breakout year. I think now this is obviously if Watson plays every game, and Njoku goes for 1,200 yards.
Yes.
1,200 yards.
So what are you thinking, Watson, 4,800 yards passing like Houston? Is that how you're breaking up your math? 4,800.
I think he's around like 4,500 or so.
I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I'd take that.
I think he has a great season if he plays every game. Now,
Right.
I don't know. The more and more that this thing goes on and the longer it takes for them, it keeps looking worse and worse for us.
Yeah.
Just like the public perception is like one of those things that is kind of playing into this right now.
Yeah.
And we're not really kind of we're not really getting into a lot of these discussions about, hey, have we ever thought about the Trevor Bauer situation? And it's totally different. But at the same time, it's
got what, 2 years? Was that 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years. And that hurt us.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys think, and this is just my opinion on this, I think every team who was trying to trade for Deshaun went to the NFL office and said, how many games is he going to get?
Oh, they did.
Yeah. That'd be my first question.
And now I think they've kind of changed it.
Yeah.
And now I think like public perception has kind of played into this. And it's like, we've changed it because there's now a new precedent. There's some guy who got 2 years in a sports world. And like, that's just the world we live in right now. Public perception plays a lot into this. My opinion, if they suspend him for the whole year, I think the Browns would be pretty upset as an organization. I think us as fans would be upset that we gave all these picks and everything. And
I'd still do it again. I'd still do it. I would still do it.
Really?
Even if it's the whole season.
Even if it's the whole season, I don't know.
Baker, come on. I'm not running
If you
Baker
roll
back.
Jacoby Brissett out there all year long, by the time you get to the end of that campaign, there is going to be some hostility.
I'm trading for Garoppolo. If he's suspended the whole year, I'm trading for Garoppolo. I'm not giving up on the season.
Yeah,
I made that. Let me ask you this, because
they got 40 million. Let's do it.
I made this question last week and asked these two. So I'll ask you, Cozzi, because it's building off of what you just said. So I asked last week this. It just came to me randomly when I was sitting here, and I was thinking, like, what could it look like to make you trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? For example, it could be anyone. But, like, where is that level of games? Because when we think about it from the cap standpoint, the Browns have $40 million. If they make a move for a Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know who else it could be, but you know what I'm saying. Just somebody that may be a little bit better long-term for a full season than Brissett is. And I like Jacoby Brissett. I just don't love Jacoby Brissett. But, like, what is that threshold? Like, because let's say they get rid of Baker, they get half of his money back, so they've got Jimmy Garoppolo. You can cut him, I think, after this season with not a lot of dead cap. You have to pay him this year. It's like 20-some million. I get that, but what's that number? If Watson is suspended 10 games, if he's suspended 8 games, what is that number? And are you considering, if it is the whole season, especially? Are you considering a different move for this year?
For me, it'd have to be a whole season. Okay. It would have to be a whole season. I'm not moving unless it's a whole season. I'm gonna stick with whatever happens with Brissett, and we'll roll with Brissett. I mean, if you look at the schedule, if you play the schedule game, which I'm one of those people who I love to play the schedule game. Yeah, like our first part of our season, we got Carolina, we got the Jets, Steelers, and Falcons. I mean, those first 4 games with Brissett are very winnable games.
In terms of an NFL schedule, that's probably about as favorable as you could ask it to be.
Yep.
Baker went 3-1 the last 2 years, or whatever, pretty much.
And
can you believe that, by the way, guys, that we started 3-1 in this past season? Because it doesn't feel like that ever happened.
Oh, it feels like a total different world away. I mean, what game was it that I was watching? It was, I want to say, the Ravens game, and we were, 7-5 at that point?
Yeah.
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 And
Oh
we,
my God.
and we ended the season 8-9. We won. No, we were 6-5.
Yeah, 6-5.
Yeah.
6-5, and
6-5.
then I don't think they had a winning record again.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
No, I think we got to 7-6 after the Ravens win.
Oh yeah.
But then we just laid goose eggs.
1-3.
Yeah.
And
Well-
back to your previous talk, like Cade York, we needed a kicker. We lost the Packers game or didn't go to overtime because we missed an extra point
Good point.
and then had to chase points. And people forget like how close that Packers game really was. Like we were chasing points the whole day. Baker played terrible. Like I keep telling people, I'm like, if we had a top 25 quarterback last year,
Yeah.
we're probably 11-5. If we have a kicker, we're probably 10-7.
I mean, the Browns literally lost a game where Lamar Jackson threw 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, come on! Like so many of those games were right there.
And
For the
I
sake
don't want to be critical of the play calling, but why did we ever put Jarvis in the quarterback? Like any
Just do it.
ever? Because that cost us the Ravens game. We were in field goal range, and then
Yeah.
Baker actually got rhythm, and then he put him in at quarterback and shotgun, had Baker go out for a pass route, and he fumbled the ball. And I'm like, what are you doing, Stefanski? Like, I don't want to be critical of Stefanski. I mean,
Sounds like you are, though.
I am a little bit, but
There's definitely some moments where he deserved it. Like
He
there's,
did.
and I'm as big of a Stefanski defender as you're gonna find, but there were some moments where even like I, who had staunchly defended him as much as I did, and I was like, bro.
I just want to. Oh, sorry, Cozzi.
Go ahead, Carnes.
I just want to say to your point about Deshaun Watson and the suspension stuff. Like, I don't. The Browns are operating like Watson's gonna be their quarterback at some point this year.
Exactly. Like he's taken all the first team snaps, and it just. What do they know that we don't know or we don't see? Because it just seems like every day the press out about this is just getting worse and worse. And I just keep thinking about it. I'm like, the longer this goes, the more and more that people could be looking at this going.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. Look, I mean, I don't want to play conspiracy guy, but look, if I'm Jimmy Haslam, this is what I'm doing. I don't care if this is the right thing to say or not, but I'm Jimmy Haslam, and I go to Mr. Goodell, and I say, look, sir, how many games is it going to be? And guess what? Because I know your best friend, one of your buddies, Robert Kraft of the New England Patriots. Now, he was caught in a similar situation and where Donald Sterling, I know it was a totally separate thing, but he lost ownership. And I think Daniel Snyder in Washington might lose ownership for some things. I know it's totally different. But at the same time, what Mr. Kraft did, I don't know. So if I'm Jimmy Haslam, I'm telling Goodell, look, 4 to 6 games tops. Let's get this thing over with, and the Cleveland Browns will be back on the map. Because the one thing the Cleveland Browns do is ratings, and they sell merchandise, and the league gets better when the Browns are good. Just like when USC and Notre Dame's better in college football. As a Buckeye, I hate to say that. You didn't hear me today say that, Cozzi, because we're Buckeyes. And to see the new field they're putting in at the shoe today?
I did.
Good.
I did. It looks nice. It looks nice. I did have a question. So if he gets suspended 6 games, what are your guys' predictions for the 6th game? Like, what's our record?
4-2.
Okay.
I feel like it's dependent on a lot of different things, right? Like, it's going to be dependent on, like, I know that some people on Twitter, and it's not anybody, I don't think any of us are one of them, believe that they can't be contenders because of a defensive tackle room, which, okay. But I'm not saying our defensive tackles are good because they're awful. But there's a lot of projection there as well, right? But so I'm saying the defense could catch some fire, and if those tackles are good, and then I'm like, okay, I like the run game if the offensive line's healthy. I think that Cooper is a very quarterback-friendly receiver, so to speak. Like, and he can get vertical and things like that. And Jacoby Brissett only has like 17 career interceptions. Like he's got like a 2-to-1 ratio. He's also only got like 34 touchdowns. So it's like, it's whatever, but like there is enough there that they shouldn't be worse than 3-3. And like, I can live with it because like, I think you're going to lose one of those games. You're going to lose one of the first 4. I know that everybody thinks there's a shot at 4-0, and there is a shot at 4-0. I'm not saying there isn't, but I think like he's either going to lose to the Steelers or they'll beat the Steelers and then lose to the Falcons. You know, like I think something's in there.
I'd rather lose to the Falcons. It's NFC. Don't lose to AFC common opponents.
Exactly, but I think it's 3-3, 4-2. I think it's somewhere.
I actually think it's going to be 5-1, and surprisingly, I think that our main loss is going to be, and everyone's going to be shocked, is going to be that Falcons game on the road. We're going to be coming off a high after beating Pittsburgh. Yep. Everyone's going to be hyped up. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, the Browns!" Without
is that a short week?
Yeah,
no, that's a long week. That's a long
Thursday.
Pittsburgh's
mini bye. Sorry,
short week. Yeah, like I'm excited because we get the home opener, and then 4 days later we get Pittsburgh. Like that's going to be an amazing Sunday through Thursday there. But then you have a long week off, and sometimes it gets like lost in like. Because they're going to give them off Friday and Saturday. They'll be back on Sunday, and then they'll be preparing for the Falcons. And it's just the Falcons. Like, like it just doesn't. It doesn't even excite me. It's like, okay, it's the Falcons at Atlanta. Like,
I gotta watch this game.
I do want to say though, like the Browns, kind of under Stefanski, I think the Browns have gotten to a tier where like they will consistently beat bad teams, and maybe not by a lot. But like I can think of like even the like stupid teams like the Lions, where like the Browns really had no business winning that game. They still found a way, you know. Like you just give it to Nick Chubb and you say you're better than them anyway, so you just go win. And a lot of times that works, right? So I still think they could be 3-3. I think
Nick, I'm glad you said that, Nick, because even back in my day watching Bernie and stuff, when they were racking up 12-4, 11-5 records and stuff like that, in the NFL, you're right. You want to win those big games, but those games in between, to your point, Cozzi, good teams find a way to win, whether it be a field goal on the road or, you know what I'm saying? I think with Stefanski, I think you're right, Nick, that those old days of, Mangini put up those false wins and you'd win a big game. And then when it comes to the meat of the schedule, which is really the meat of an NFL schedule, is the easiest games on your schedule, the ones you're supposed to win. Because if you don't win those games, I don't care how you win those games, win those games. Yeah. And then look at Tampa Bay. They don't blow. You don't want to blow teams out. Just win. Just win.
I mean, Cincinnati really didn't. I mean, they annihilated Baltimore a couple times, but they played a lot of really close games throughout the year. Like, all that matters is that they found a way to win them.
I really enjoyed them annihilating Baltimore.
Believe it or not, Cincinnati blew out everybody in our division except for us. They dominated all 4 games both against Steelers and both against the Ravens, and then just could not. They didn't even come close to us that first time we played. Yeah, like it just wasn't even a close game. We just dominated.
Well, now we got the blueprint. We got a franchise quarterback.
I know.
Yeah.
I want to catch up real quick on some of these comments that I have over here. I can understand this sentiment. Give me a full year of Brissett and roll the cap over before I trade for Jimmy G to win maybe 2 or 3 more games. Yeah, maybe you're right. Especially if that defense is what we think. If they can get a jump from like Togiai, and if Jordan Elliott could figure it out. I don't think he makes the roster. That's my opinion. But if he could figure it out, man, that defense could be carry them to the playoffs defense, even if Brissett is the starter the whole way. And to point out, you're not winning a Super Bowl with Garoppolo, so the season's lost regardless. I disagree because he's been in one and was almost to a second one.
And they should have won that one that he was in.
He missed a throw. If he does not miss that deep throw in the fourth quarter of that Super Bowl, he probably wins Super Bowl MVP. I mean, he wasn't phenomenal in that game, but like, who else was? So,
Cozzi, think about this, Cozzi. You got 2 G spots in Cleveland, one at Progressive Field and one at First Energy Stadium with Jimmy Garoppolo. Make Cleveland hot. I'm not spots, maybe G spots.
I don't think the Browns don't give out deals like Jadeveon Clowney if they think they're not going for it this year. So if something does go sideways and they say Deshaun Watson suspended for the year or God forbid, I don't want to get into that. But if something goes sideways, I think they'll trade for Garoppolo. I do.
I have a question. If something goes sideways and the league comes out and says whatever, and Barry and Stefanski and Haslam just lose it on the league, like they go nuts, do they nullify the trade?
Can you?
Something is in there that was like in agreement that was like kind of said do you think they go to the league office and go nullify this trade? Like I'm talking like they give him like a year and a half. Like let's say they give him a year and a half. Like the worst case scenario, year and a half or even 2 years. Do you think they go to the league and they go, we need to nullify this trade because this was not done in good faith?
Yeah, I think. Well, this just says you have lawyers talking no matter what, all contingencies, no matter what. So absolutely, you got to cover your bases.
Exactly.
If they can, they're not going to get their draft picks back, but could they get the contract voided potentially? Yeah, I think. I know that they said it, that they have language. They alluded to it that there's language in the contract that will get them some kind of protection should a massive suspension come down.
Yeah.
I think they'll try. They'll try whatever they can.
Even if you believe Andrew Barry's doing a great job, and I do, if this doesn't work out the way, when you give up this type of picks, like you're putting your job on it. You are.
Yeah. If it goes sideways, then we're rebooting this thing.
I'm going to be very honest with you.
Oh no!
There might be a little bit of okay, Baker. We have to beg. Want to hear that?
No.
Oh, we ride with 6 again.
Oh,
let's boot it back up.
I don't think I can do it.
Go back there. I cannot go back to that. I suffered way too much last year and got crucified for it. I got killed for it, and I just there's just the longer that this goes, the more nervous I get every day. That I'm hoping that it's like 4 or 6 games. I keep hearing 8 possibly. I keep hearing like 10, and then I'm like, I don't know. I saw the comment that just came in.
Yeah, I saw you hesitate, so I assumed you saw it. That
I did.
I truly cannot believe.
We'll call Colt McCoy. What's he doing?
No. He's the backup in Arizona.
There you go.
I think
the irony of it, they would literally be like Sooner North if Baker Mayfield was the quarterback.
Oh,
like it is like their whole.
I know some Sooner fans, and when we drafted all those Sooner players in a row, he goes, "Your GM is just trolling us at this point." Yep, Andrew Barry is just—he didn't have to draft a Sooner player there, and he definitely
just
it's the 7th round. Let's get another one.
Yeah, pretty much.
I got one comment, and then one last question for you, Cozzi, and we'll let you go before we do some of our stupid shit at the end of the show. So this is one thing I will say about what you said about the suspension, because I've thought the same thing, and I've talked to some other people, and Jake Burns has talked to it on his podcast, and I've had a conversation with him about it as well, that it does feel like that. It does feel like the longer this goes out. But I've also had people say this, and I'm not sure I fully am behind this, but I've also heard a lot of people say the league and the Browns have known all of it. They have known that this 23rd accuser was coming, that there was a potential 24th. Actually, if you remember, I think right after the trade, the lawyer Busby for the accusers did mention a 23rd and 24th person that he was going to eventually announce. So we did actually hear that this was potentially coming down. Obviously, the timing of it, I'm not getting into any of that. I'm not a lawyer. I was not there, so I don't know what happened. But I will say, I'm pretty sure that everybody that are making this decision knew about it. The question is, like you brought up, is it the optics? Because the optics of it get worse by the day because we are finding out more. So it gets worse by the day to some people. Some people have made their judgment both in favor of him and against him. It's mostly never going to change. So the question is going to be, the honest to God question for the NFL is going to be, what makes them more money? Because they don't care about anything else. Does Deshaun getting suspended make them more money or not? They're going to suspend him. I don't think it's going to be 0 games. I just don't see it. But it's going to be about, well, like, can we get him back here? Can we do this? Can he play against the Texans? Like, what's it going to be? I think it's that. So I have I'll say that. And I have one final question for you, and we'll let you get out of here. Is cereal soup?
I'm going to say cereal is not soup. It's in its own category.
Okay. All right.
The people's champion, Michael Cozzi.
Cozzi,
This was going to end on a positive note. It started on a positive note. Ends on
Cozzi
this
says
note.
he's going to tell the audience one nice thing about it in Columbus.
He already did. He told you looked good.
Yeah.
He did say you look good.
See, you know what, though? That just shows you how much of a diva I am. I already forgot that was moving on to my next
Wow.
comment.
He's like, nah, it was me. That's my bad, dude.
I'm going to get help, guys. I need help.
Cozzi, we appreciate you, man. Please tell everybody where they can find all your stuff.
Yeah, so we have Browns After Dark coming up right now. So you can find my personal Twitter page at RealMindedCozy. And then at Browns After Dark is coming on at 9 p.m. And then we actually last week just launched After Dark Sports. So that is, and I'll tweet out this show for After Dark Sports and Browns After Dark. So if you guys want to retweet it, we can definitely get the ball rolling on that. And as always, I hope to see you guys in Browns After Dark.
Yeah.
Oh, give us some love to the OGs. Tim and I, we had Garrett Bush on Sunday.
I'm going to tell you
we might be doing one again on Sunday at 6.
Yeah, I heard you guys are possibly going to get him back on again. So
we're working out. We love what you're doing. Browns After Dark people, check it out. I might even have to jump in because I love to hear myself talk.
Well,
I've got some. It depends on how late you guys go, but I am going to try to jump on a little bit later on.
And just remember, Browns After Dark was the only place that we get to see Carnes versus Carnes on on air live.
We had a great time.
Oh,
Do you guys want to know a secret right here in front of everybody?
Yes.
Do you remember Carnspot?
No, I don't.
You never saw.
I do because he follows me.
No.
He tweeted I think the one. What was the one? Roses are red.
Red. Yeah, that was the quote. Yeah, that was really
Violets are blue, and then it was like Deshaun's going to bring a Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Carnspot.
Oh man, there we
He
go.
outed himself. He outed himself.
It
There
was
it
me.
is.
It was me the whole time.
Wow.
For what it's worth.
I didn't know.
It's a compliment, Nick.
No, it wasn't
Nick, that's
either.
a compliment.
Yeah, there was one person. There was one person who knew. Well, I didn't actually know.
I didn't know. I knew.
I told him like a week after I did it. The only other person that knew was the person that made the profile picture.
I love it.
Okay.
And that was JC. So anyway, we will talk to you guys.
I just want to say,
appreciate it, man. Go over there, do your awesomeness.
if you don't listen to Browns After Dark, you should, because we've had a lot of great. I've met a lot of great people in there, including you, Cozzi. Right?
Yeah. That's the first time I ever talked to Carnes. I remember following Carnes on Twitter. I'm like, this guy's pretty popular on Twitter, and he has his own podcast, and it's pretty sweet. And now it's like, oh, okay, I'm on the podcast now, so pretty awesome, dude.
We appreciate you, man. We'll have you back soon.
Yeah,
hey, I don't care what they say about you, Cozzi. You're a good dude. I don't care what they say about you.
You too, Ed. Thanks. See you guys.
Bye, Cozzi.
All right. So yeah, he's in the comment. He said, I knew it the whole time.
Wow, dude, so many twists and turns on this show.
I was like going to not tell you and keep doing it, but I'm not that talented. Like I had a good 2-week run with some really fun poems that were really stupid.
Nick, he asked me a few times, should I tell him? I said, nah, just keep going with it.
Andy knew the whole time too. He was
okay. That makes sense.
Just so you know, I kept asking Nick. I was like, "Do you want to know who Carnsbot is?" He's like, no. And I'm like, "Yeah, it's me." Like I never told him until now, but it's me. I'm just never going to be able to do it. Yeah.
You're the best, Jacob.
The ultimate compliment is either giving Twitter love, hating on somebody, because I'll even accept hate because at least they're talking about you. But somebody making a parody account about you, that's love.
What's really funny is I made it because I thought it would be funny. And then after I made it, I saw your tweet about you hoping somebody would do it. So actually, I did not see that until I had made the account.
That's amazing.
I did see it later. And so I saw it after I made my first tweet as Carnsbot. And so then I immediately jumped on my profile and was like, Nick, did you see what Carnsbot said? And he was like, what? What's going on? All right, guys, we have got a Jerome Ford scouting report for you guys real quick. And then we've got top 5 horror villains. And then we will get you out of here nice and good here at the end here. Okay, so Jerome Ford. Real quick, if you want to see a more in-depth with some video, subscribe to the Patreon. It's $5 a month. We sit out videos for right now. Each week, it is going to be the video study that I do for the scouting reports that I give come the show. So you can see that with it. They're about like 15 minutes or so, some things like that. So
Don't forget, you can get great shirts like the one you got on. Every month we give away a shirt courtesy of Zabo Apparel. Veteran-owned, locally owned, and we love working with them. Zabo Apparel is great. If you haven't seen Andy Mansion, friend of the show, Dog Chug member, new Chug celebrating David Njoku, you should, because he's wearing a Zabo shirt and he's doing it awesomely.
And check out the Chug 10 o'clock tonight.
10 o'clock tonight, Dog Chug. See Ed again. I like Ed.
I just bit into a big piece of ginger and it wasn't pleasant. I didn't know it was coming. All right, let's do Jerome Ford. Let's do our top 5 and let's put it to bed, gentlemen. Okay. So, off the top, Jerome Ford, one of the I want to get this comment in real quick. It's Manny.
Manny.
He can't believe
Go Celtics.
Listen, Manny has made me
Celtics
into a meme.
I know.
And a GIF. And I couldn't figure out how to save the video that Manny made of me going, oh my God. And it was pretty funny. Mitch asked if I eat gingers. No, I bit into a piece of ginger. No, Ginger is a very popular restaurant here in Athens. It's this type of corn. Yeah, no, I got his reference. Okay, so Jerome Ford was one of the ones I was more looking forward to doing for this show because I really enjoyed his play at Cincinnati. Very productive last year, 1,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, 200 receiving yards. There is so much Kareem Hunt. I've said it over and over again. There is so much Kareem Hunt. A little bit of DeAndre Swift in there as well. The thing that you see immediately is his explosion into the hole. So his burst, his 0 to 60, it just reminds you of Kareem. He's not quite as violent of a runner, still a very powerful runner, still very good straight line speed. Don't get me wrong, 4.46 speed at the running back position. So it shows. If he gets in open field, you'll see a little bit of Nick Chubb in there where when Jerome Ford gets in the open field, he will find another gear to put it away. His vision, that's why he's a 5th round pick. The vision is if the hole is right there and it is open, he will find it and explode through it. However, if there is some congestion there, he does struggle a little bit with some of the patience as a runner and finding a cutback lane. Some of that stuff you see Kareem Hunt do, and Kareem Hunt is still incredibly effective. Kareem Hunt's a little bit more talented, but maybe Ford could be something like a Kareem Hunt light. But yeah, there's a little bit of vision issues I have there. But if that hole is there and the offensive line for Cleveland can make it, his burst through it, and he will break arm tackles. So there's some Kareem Hunt in there. There's some Nick Chubb. He just really needs to be more patient and have better vision to find the hole. But he can accelerate in a hurry. And when he gets the top speed, there is often another gear. When he gets into if he gets some space in the open field,
nobody's catching him from behind. Is that what you're saying?
You're not catching him from behind. He's every bit of 4.46 in football playing speed as well.
I just want to say my favorite stat looking up about Jerome Ford is that he has less than 400 total carries in college, because when Jerome Ford originally went to Alabama and he wasn't getting the play time that he wanted. So eventually he transfers to Cincinnati. So, I mean, and we all know how running backs go to begin with, right? So to get a guy in the later rounds that also hasn't been used much, like that to me screams long-term move in Cleveland. And I really liked that from Andrew Berry. Jacob, you covered a lot of his physical stuff, but you see little ways that you know, like, and I see Ed, you're nodding because you know, like we saw that chart not too long ago about like the difference in age of like drafted by the average team, and the Browns are like way to the younger side.
Such a dramatic outlier.
Yeah. So
what I like about it,
how much younger they draft.
You look at the Browns running backs, okay, you got somebody like Nick Chubb, and you got Kareem Hunt, okay, and you got Dearness Johnson and Jerome Ford. It's like basically Kareem Hunt is like Ford, kind of. Ford's like a cheaper, you know, version of it. Obviously, he's a cheaper version, you know what I'm saying? And you got Dearness, which is, you know, has the patience and things like that, and Nick Chubb. And I don't know, it's like I really would like to keep 4 running backs, especially those 4, And it's just like, because when you have a strategic advantage like the Browns do in the running back, they always say running backs are dime a dozen. But when you have four that complement each other, that are so different, if you need this guy for this, or somebody gets banged up or hurt, it's like, I don't want to, especially with the Watson situation, and quarterback say it is Jacoby Brissett, and then I'm keeping that running back room as strong as possible. And those are my top four. And if Demetrius Felton, you want to join the party, whoever else wants to join the party, you better work your butt off, because I think definitely Ford's going to make the team. Obviously, you drafted him. How would he not? And then I want to keep Dearness. I want to keep Hunt, and Chubb ain't going anywhere. Show me a better four than those guys.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
You gotta hope somebody calls you and offers you something for either Hunt, like really high for Hunt, or something for Dearness, so that you could just somehow make that decision easier.
That would be, because they're so. You're right, Jacob. Because they're so good, and you look at them, and it's such a strength. If somebody did do something like that, yes, it would make your life a lot easier. And I'm with you on that. I understand why you said that. But rolling with those cats, let's go.
And I just want to say, you're talking about the room as a whole, and it's like, sometimes you gotta just dominate the ball, right? But sometimes you just need to be able to play. Kevin Stefanski preaches versatility all the time, right? Sometimes you just need to say, you're not getting the ball back. We are going to run for 5 yards to carry all the way down this field until 10 minutes are off the clock and the game's over.
I don't care who my quarterback is if I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, you do, but you don't. You know what I'm saying? If you can do that, then it just puts less pressure on Jacoby Brissett. And then, until
our good friend Drew in the Brick City wants to know what the size comparison between Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt is. And what's really funny is I thought it was similar. Both are 5'10". I'm sorry. Kareem Hunt's 5'11". Jerome Ford 5'10". Kareem Hunt's 216. Jerome Ford is 210.
Yep.
So there it is. It is almost a direct comparison there. What's a deal that you can get Johnson, that you would deal Johnson a third? If I can get a 4, I'm dealing Johnson. I just, because it's a high cap number for running back 3. He hasn't even signed it yet. Keep that in mind. He hasn't signed it, which that could be telling of potentially.
And he's still there. Credit to him. He's still
he showed up, which is awesome.
Could they be keeping him for a trade with a throw-in with Baker, maybe in a trade?
I could see it.
Make that trade a little bit more enticing for somebody to take on that money, and then what I'm saying. I mean, it's a valuable asset if you're going to trade for. I mean,
I'll tell you what. If you could get that somebody to take some of Baker's money and roll it over in the next year with all the cap that because the Browns are going to need it. Like, it looks great right now, leading the NFL in cap space, but they're going to need that money.
right.
So,
now, guys, it's top 5 time.
Top 5.
We're going to wrap this thing up, guys. If you haven't checked out the Yard Dogs yesterday or our episode on Saturday, please go check that out. We have some really, really cool things coming from you on this show. Maybe some bonus audio content coming out on some of these weekends and stuff. Maybe some bonus content because, why not? All right, guys. So let's talk top 5s. Let's do top 5 horror villains. So let me tell you what constitutes a horror villain, and then I'm going to tell you about my list and how I chose mine, and then the guys can talk about how they chose theirs, and then we'll get to them. Right? It's simple. You are a horror villain if you are the bad guy in a horror movie. Like, for example, the Leprechaun. That's a horror villain. Jason Voorhees, horror villain. Any of those. Slashers, Leatherface, horror villain.
Yeah.
For the purpose of this show and what we're doing top 5, those guys are all that. I don't know who the villain is in The Purge. Humanity. There it is. Humanity is the villain in The Purge. I just watched The Purge election year. I had a lot of fun watching that.
Yeah, it's intense.
I wanted to watch the last one, the Forever Purge, but I haven't even seen election year or the first Purge. So I needed to do that. So I chose my 5 first and foremost by what scared me the most. That's it. That was my rules. Guys, your rules?
Sorry, Dad. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I echoed Jacob's sentiment, and I put mine in just the ones that I just happen to like better, just for my personal sake. Just funniness or just
totally fine.
Movie. That's all. But that's all.
So all but number 5 of my list are a reoccurring nightmare I have from time to time. So they put them into me as a child, and so that fear still exists today, obviously. So that's kind of where my list went. is severity of said nightmare.
Do you still
I
have
like
them?
that.
Oh yeah. I mean, and like I recognize them too, so I try to do different things to like get out of it.
So
I still get murdered.
There's one coming up that is mine. I will tell you that number 2 is the one that still to this day gives me nightmares. Number 1 does too, but number 2 actually I relatively recently watched it. Okay, off the top, number 5 for me. Number 5, I totally just Ed, please go. I just lost my list and forgot.
Okay, my number 5 is Don't F with the Chuck. I'm not going to say but it's Chucky from Child's Play. And I will say one thing about Chucky, because I know John Gruden got compared to him. He wasn't as bad as those emails John Gruden sent. So as much as I'm just saying.
I just remembered my number 5 was Chucky. He said that and I was like, that was mine. Because, oh my God, I knew a guy as a kid. I had a friend whose dad had a Chucky doll.
Oh,
and
God.
so and I would like stay at his house and like you'd be like sleeping and you're like, oh my God, is he gonna come get me? So yeah, that's number 5. Nick, what do you got for us? Number 5.
Michael Myers, man. Like I just there's something about it that it shouldn't be so scary, but just the way he's like silent and just like that mask of blank.
He just keeps coming. That's the scary part. He just keeps coming. Okay. Number 4 for me is Freddy Krueger. And I know a lot of people probably have Freddy higher, and I know Ed is a big Freddy Krueger fan, so I know he's probably higher on his. But here's kind of why he both made my list, but at the same time wasn't high on my list. I was too scared to watch many of his movies. So I have only seen a handful of them, including the
handful of them, Jacob.
I think I've seen like 2 of them. I think I've seen the original one. I've seen the remake, the one that came out just a few years back, which I think I liked it better than you might have, because I know you were kind of off and on about it.
I'm just used to originals, and if you haven't watched it, I can see why you like that one.
Yeah, and I have not. And then I watched Freddy versus Jason, which was very fun, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
I liked Freddy versus Jason. So for me, those are the only 3 Freddy movies I've seen. I should go back and watch them because you and Eddie really had me pumped about Freddy 3.
I love Eddie. Yes,
Freddy 3, right? Is that what you guys were telling me about? Freddy 3?
Yep.
So I'll have to go back and I'll have to watch that. So for Freddy Krueger is number 4 for me.
Well, my number 4 is the Leprechaun, and he's not really that scary. I mean, he's scary looking. He's actually funny in the movies, but you know what? I think the scariest thing about the Leprechaun is he's actually taller than Baker Mayfield, and he actually got his gold on. He actually got his gold, unlike Baker got his contract. So that's where we're going with that.
So number 4 is it's actually called the Xenomorph, but it's the alien from the Alien movies. So picture that, those long spaceship hallways, and you have to keep hitting the buttons and the doors to like trap the alien. Well, I always know, because I always have this nightmare. I'm running through the hallway. Some of these doors don't work, so inevitably I get eaten. It's just about which door I try to pick the button
before you get eaten.
But I know I get into the nightmare and I'm like, here we are again. So let's just get eaten.
Let's just get eaten. He's like, I don't.
Let's get it over with, because I'm gonna have the same damn nightmare since I was like 7 years old. So
number 3.
Number 3.
Mike Myers. Mike Myers is definitely right up there with for me. I really enjoyed Halloween Kills. I know that like everybody thought it was just the stupidest thing, and it kind of was. But the newest Halloween, I watched it like the weekend it came out, and you can ask my wife. She enjoyed it pretty well as well. But like it's always gory, and even when you think you beat Michael, you didn't beat Michael, and that's just what it was, and I really enjoy that kind of thing, and it's just he's terrifying. So, Michael Myers.
Well, my number 3 also was Michael Myers, but those Halloween movies weren't as bad as last Halloween against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, Jarvis Landry.
Thanks.
That drop was scarier than anything that Michael Myers put out in the movies.
So as far as number 3 goes, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, those hooks that he lays out, those life-size fishing hooks, enough said. Not
Yeah,
gonna
those
talk
are
about
terrifying.
That's it.
That's it. That's all you need.
That's
Number
that's
two.
fair.
Number 2 still gives me nightmares. I talked about this on Saturday. Number 2 is that bitch Annabelle. I hate that bitch Annabelle. And she gets me, and I close my eyes and I just see her. That little face. Are you shitting me? No. You show me a doll that looks like Annabelle, and that's a house I'm not going in.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Number 2 for me would be Jason Voorhees. And, he was always at Camp Crystal Lake, which was a scary place. But I'll tell you what, since 1999, training camp has probably been the scariest place, is what we can attest to. But hopefully that changes. So
I hate you.
Number 2 is Pennywise from It, and not the new It, but the old It, where dude is hanging out in the sewer and there's little red balloons that you don't want to go in the sewer. Just save yourself the time. It looks inviting. It's not inviting. Don't go in the sewer.
Because the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles aren't real.
Stop. Because if they were, I'd need their help.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Pennywise in the sewer.
Bring a pizza. They might show up. Bring a pizza.
Number 1 is Pennywise. Number 1 for me is Pennywise. Pennywise the dancing clown. Like, are you shitting me? I saw the original Pennywise when I was like Georgie's age. So like I'm watching this and Georgie gets his arm ripped off, and like Tim Curry was brilliant. But I got to tell you, that new Pennywise, man, because he was scarier looking, right? And I loved the original Pennywise. I loved the original It. Both of the new ones, I thought separate them. Don't compare them. I know they're the same movie, but don't compare them. And when you do that, they just brilliant on both ends. And all I know is there is a clip of Bill Skarsgård, who was the new Pennywise, with what's his name? Oh, he was on Saturday Night Live. What is it? Will Forte? Well, no, it's not Will Forte. It was
what is it?
Who is that? That's in that. He plays Barry on.
Yeah, I know you. I can't think of the actor's name, but I know you're talking.
I can't think of what his name is right now off the top of my head, and I'm gonna look it up here real quick. Before I already look like an idiot because I still can't find him.
I forgot my thought earlier in the show, Jacob. So I make people give me compliments when they already complimented me. I mean, really, seriously, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's like
we all.
It's funny because I'm looking up the cast of it right now, and like it's not giving Bill Hader. Why couldn't I think of Bill Hader?
Well,
like there's a clip where did you know that thing where Pennywise like crosses his eyes and does stuff like and they get real crazy and like he's like
Adam Gase or no? He's more like this.
Yeah, similar to that. But did you know that is actually Bill Skarsgård can do that? Like that, that was not animated. That was him crossing his. And there's a set picture where he's talking to Bill Hader, and he goes and he does it, and Bill Hader's like, and there's like a picture of him just getting, and I'm just like, so Pennywise, number 1 for me.
Well, numero uno for me would have to be the legend of Freddy Krueger, because I used to watch that as a young child, and I loved it. I actually thought it was kind of funny. But I'll tell you what was more scarier than Freddy Krueger was going 1 in 31. So, there are times they say don't fall asleep because that's when Freddy gets you. I'd take extra naps. I would do whatever it takes. I'd fall asleep at work, because I was looking for Freddy to come get me because I couldn't deal with any more Hugh Jackson. And then we got Freddy Kitchens. And then I thought, the Freddy thing and everything is back. But, yeah, I guess I'm just happy for Kevin Stefanski. But Freddy Krueger is my number 1.
Annie Wilkes from the movie Misery is my number 1. Because she nurses an author that she greatly admires back to health after he's in a significant car crash, and the author slowly discovers that he is being held prisoner in her home. And one day when she leaves, he tries to take a look around the house because he couldn't walk for a long time. And he does, but he leaves something out of place, and she discovers he did. And she very graphically breaks both of his feet so that he can no longer walk and she can keep him prisoner. And that scene still haunts me to this day. And whenever I see her as acting as someone else, I still see her breaking people's feet. So that scarred me forever, and I will never watch Misery again. That's all.
Yeah, when she busted out the wood, let's just say that. Yeah. All right. Sorry, too much. Don't want to spoil it for anybody, but that's a great scene, great movie. And Nick, I feel the pain almost.
I'm not a big horror movie fan, and I have to be in the right mood to watch them. But then sometimes they stick with me forever. So, I mean, you could understand.
We've watched Browns games for how long, Nick? And some of them have turned into, that should count.
I somehow, I got to say, I somehow felt worse when Pat Shurmur was our coach than I did when Hugh Jackson was our coach. I really did.
I think the talent level was better with Hugh. I think you could see some things maybe.
I remember trying to justify Pat Shurmur to my dad. That's the true horror movie.
There you go.
Dad, I was like, well, Pat Shurmur, he ran this really great offense with Sam Bradford in St. Louis when they didn't win a whole lot of games and they really didn't have a whole lot of success. But this guy's our new head coach now, and it's going to be totally great.
Just think he got a sequel and Chazinski only didn't even get one. Just think about that. I'm not saying Chazinski would have been the answer.
He even got a second job in New York. But anyway.
That's my Browns horror, and Ed's theme.
Very much. Thank you, Nick. That was. Yes.
Thank you guys for joining us for episode 58. We'll be back on our regular day and time next week, Tuesday at 8, following the Yard Dogs, who will be Tuesday at 7. So, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate everything you do and everything you do to support us. Nick, get us out of here.
This has been episode 58 of the Barking Browns show. I'm Nick. He's Ed. No, he's Ed. Sorry. That's Ed over there. He's Jacob.
That's true.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.